Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Joe Show. Today is May 11th. It's a Saturday here at 1 o'clock. One of probably the earliest episodes I've ever did. And thank you for everyone who's coming in here today and tuning in to watch this. We got a nice episode ahead of us. We're going to be joined by a Kentucky high school basketball great, Brandon Stockton. Thank you, everyone, already tuning in. We got some names coming in here. Thank you. Thank you. Making sure everything's up on our Facebook and our Twitter. Everything's rolling and live. So, yes, that's perfect. I want to ask everyone to please be interactive with the chat. If you guys have any questions to ask Brandon, ask me, go ahead and just drop them in there. We answer everything, really, that we see. This episode has been coming for a little bit. You know, I've been talking to Brandon behind the scenes a lot, and we've been really hyped to get this one out for you guys. So I think this one's going to be a good one. It won't be the normal hour-long episode like some people are used to. Brandon's extremely busy right now. As a lot of you guys know, he is right now currently doing a basketball tournament as we speak. So he's going to be popping in here in about 5 to 8 minutes to be ready for the show. So we'll be getting that going at 1:10. But there's not a better time for me to go ahead and list our sponsors. We got 8 of them today. So let's go ahead and take our time, tell you guys about all of them. I want to first shout out our amazing show sponsor, which is Kayaks and More. They're owned by Kim and Tony Polson. They are located on Highway 259 in Bee Spring, Kentucky, across from the former Kyrock Grill. Their number is 270-286-7001 if you guys want to contact them. They are a local mom and pop shop who can supply you guys with everything for the outdoors. They supply kayaks for some of the best, in the world. And stop by there if you're interested in any summer needs. I want to give a huge shout out to the rest. Let's go ahead and go on to CNA Plumbing. CNA Plumbing is owned by Craig Childress and Adam Coates. They're located on South Main Street besides Alfred's Pharmacy, and they are one of the best local plumbing businesses you can get. Next up, I have H&K Construction. They're consulting and management. They do custom homes at a price you can easily afford. That is by Alan Keppel. If you want to contact them, go ahead and use 270-791-2288. Next up, we have Sanders Radiators. That is located on 316 East 5th Avenue in Bowling Green, Kentucky. They're the best auto radiator repair service you can get. If you want to contact them, that is 270-843-1772. Now, our social media sponsor behind all the posts going up is Shauna Grable Realtor. That is 270-246-1329. She's part of the Keller Williams Group, and she is also part of the Grable Group. Our guest sponsor is Patton Funeral Home. They are located in Brownsville, Park City, and Cave City. They're continuing a heritage of caring. An easy way to contact them is 270-597-2136. Laser It is owned by Caleb Skaggs and Scott Skaggs. Contact them for any business needs. They laser engrave a little bit of everything. Hats, boards, recipe boxes, coasters, etc. That is a great business. They made a lot of the stuff that you can see behind me. So thank you for that. And last but not least is our tech sponsor. That is Jay Holland with Lake Forest Recruiting Firm in Braden's Blessings. Braden's Blessings is a local charity for, we lost Braden Combs in 2019. Braden's Blessings has really just did so much around the community. They've done so much. They are probably the best they are the best local charity around. So those are the people that you want to contact. Make sure to contact Jay Holland if you have any interest in either of those. So it's 4 o'clock here. I want to wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. We're coming in close on that. That is tomorrow. And let me give you guys a little bit of a rundown of the guests we have today. Brandon Stockton is a legend in the state of Kentucky, especially for high school basketball. Brandon played basketball for 4 years at Glasgow, and he would go on to take his talents to the University of Kentucky, where he would play 4 seasons there. In his high school career, he scored over 2,600 points, which is amazing. He's still one of the household names when it comes to Kentucky high school basketball. In Brandon's senior year, which was 2002, Brandon would win Gatorade Player of the Year, and he would win 2002 Kentucky Mr. Basketball. In Brandon's time at UK, he put up 83 games. His production, one thing I love about Brandon is that his game and his play actually doubled in conference play. So he was a guy who, in the postseason, kind of turned it up another level, turned it up a notch. And Some of his best games was in the run of Mississippi, LSU, Tennessee, and Florida in that 2005-2006 season. Uh, Brandon played along some amazing players. He played along with John Rondo, Keith Bogans, Joe Crawford, Patrick Sparks, a fan favorite of mine, Randolph Morris, Chuck Hayes, Kalina Azubuike, and Gerald Fitch. There's a lot more I can name, a ton more that I can name. Talking to Brandon right now, actually, seeing when he wants to join in. Um, Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in today to this. We are already 5 minutes in. Thank you guys for tuning in. We already got a pretty good following here right now, which is always something good to see. Brandon will be joining us here any second now to get this show on the boat. We got a good amount of questions for our guy Brandon, and there he is. That is Brandon joining in now. Brandon, what's up, man?
How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Busy, man. Just running wild right now.
Yeah, well, I wanted to reserve a little bit of your time today to have this little episode. We'll go for about another 15. We'll do however long you've got. I got a list of questions here. We'll have some fun with it. So
Okay.
Brandon, some people tuning in here. Last time they had kind of watched you or kept up with you was with your time at Kentucky. What have you been up to, man?
Man, I've been around the basketball program at Glasgow for since like 2010 or something like that. I've been here coaching middle school, high school. I kind of worked in the medical field for a while and got out right before COVID hit. And here the past 4.5 years, I've worked for Don Franklin here at my hometown as a manager.
Brandon, I think this is a good time. Let's go ahead and get into some questions. I have a few questions written down for you. I want to talk to you about a little
Okay.
bit of more questions and some current things happening. So,
All right.
Brandon, I'll let the people know, at Glasgow, 2002 Gatorade Player of the Year, 2002 Kentucky Mr. Basketball. You scored over 2,600 points your time there. Share with us some of your best high school memories and your best games.
Um, some of my best high school memories were probably being playing in the All A state tournament, where we won it my junior year. We were champions and lost in the semi game my senior year. That experience there with my teammates was probably the funnest and most fond memories I have of playing in high school basketball. And some of my best games were probably, I would say, come against our hometown rival, Barron County. That's always a fun game and atmosphere to play against your rival.
So, talk to me a little bit about Barron County, that rivalry. Who was some of the toughest competition there at Barron County you played?
Oh man, back when I was a freshman, they had John Michael Clemens and his brother. Had a couple of Spillmans on the team. Man, they had a squad back when I was a freshman, and as the years going over, I played against Darren Breeze, who was at Barron County around my junior year, who's a coach at Adair County right now. He had a teammate by the name of Jerome Gums, um, that was an international student transfer in, and I think he played out in San Francisco somewhere in college. David Bird. Those guys were all good for Barron County, but I mean, just playing against your rival, man, is always a tense game, and the crowds are so much bigger at the game. And I mean, I can remember one game, home game, there was standing room only, and they almost shut the game down. The fire marshal did because there was so many people at the game. So those games are always. Sorry about that.
You let's expand that question a little bit. Tell me about some of your toughest competition that you played in the AAU circuits and at high school. Not just against Barron County, but all the games.
I still can.
I think we just lost a little bit of connection with him. I think he's dealing with some service. He's back in here now.
Yep, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, perfect. I said I'm going to evaluate a little bit more on that question. Tell me about some of your toughest competition that you played in high school that wasn't just Barron County, and you also played in after school, summer basketball.
Um, Whew. In high school was always Russellville. For me, when I was in high school, I just could never beat Russellville. They beat us in the finals of the region my sophomore year. Then turn around my junior year, they beat us the first round of the region. So those were probably my toughest competition in high school. playing summer ball and stuff. I played a lot of summer ball and big time leagues out in Vegas. Went to ABCD camp, and believe it or not, I was there when LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony and those guys were all at the camp.
Mhm.
So I've been in the same gym and same tournament as those guys, and so I've played against a lot of competition growing up before I got to college, and man, there's so many that probably name I'd probably miss some. So, but man, I think LeBron and probably Carmelo would probably be top two of the top that people would know.
Yeah. So let's transition a little bit into college. I'm going to ask you that same exact question about some of your best memories you experienced in college playing at Kentucky.
Some of the best memories, man, are always tournament time. To be honest, the whole college experience is a great experience in itself. But tournament time's always special because you're out away from campus for a few days, and you're just with your teammates bonding and sharing those special memories because everybody loves March Madness. So planning those weekend games and just being able to see all the fans and travel to the different cities. It's always an amazing time.
Yeah. So at Kentucky, I was looking at some of the game logs, some of the box scores, even your own teammates. You played around so many, eventual pros and NBA players. How does it feel, to play around that type of competition, be involved with that type of competition, and going against it?
Um, Man, it's just, I mean, it feels great, but it's just in a competitive nature. When you're highly recruited, and as I was, and went to Kentucky, Mr. Basketball. They're every year they're bringing in, top recruits. I mean, as we see in today's time too. And so to be able to be amongst those guys and practice with them every day and play with them, it kind of makes you feel good because some of those guys go on and have very good careers in the NBA. It kind of makes you wonder sometimes, what could you have done different to do the same thing? But man, it's always a great memory to have to go back and say, hey, I played with Rajon Rondo or I played with Keith Bogans, Chuck Hayes, and those guys. So
So I was going through, your game logs, your box scores, like I said, and some of the games I highlighted was in your senior season against Ole Miss, LSU, Tennessee, and Florida. That
hmm
stretch was just a phenomenal games. What do you think your best collegiate game was?
uh, ooh, I would probably say, and I think a lot of people probably agree with me. It's probably the Tennessee game. It wasn't just from a offensive standpoint. I think I got the game winning steal. Actually, that's the famous Coach Smith chest bump. So uh, that was probably one of my better games. I know I probably had a couple others that probably, offensive wise, probably matched up to him, but I would say that was probably one that would stand out the most to me.
Yeah, talking about the Tubby Smith and you chest bump, that is probably the most iconic chest bump in college basketball. I was looking on YouTube, and that thing's got over 100,000 views. Everyone's seen that.
Yeah.
So let's kind of translate. I got a few more questions here for you. I don't want to hold you too long, but let's talk about your current state. You were named
Okay.
the head coach for Glasgow boys
It
basketball.
was.
Was
Yes, sir.
so. What does this mean to you to coach this team that you formerly played for and made such a name at?
It means a lot, actually. I'm a Glasgow kid, Scotty through and through. I've always been that way, and to actually have a chance and opportunity to give back
Mhm.
to the school, to young men, in a way that was given to me when I was in their position. I mean, that's what I do it for. I don't do it for any money or anything like that. I do it just to give those guys an opportunity to be able to experience what I experienced.
Yeah. So you Glasgow is in the fourth region, which is a tough region. All the Warren County schools. You're going to be going up against, Bowling Green every year. You got to go up against Coach Unseld. The list goes on and on. How do you prepare to, go up against those guys on basically any night? And do you think you guys will be able to compete with those guys?
Well, first of all, I hope we'll be able to compete. Bowling Green and Central have both set a high standard for the fourth region. So, for us to be able to compete with those guys, I mean, we really just got to put in the work ahead of time.
Yeah.
And, these guys, I've got a nice young group of kids that I'll have coming back. And I think, if we put in a lot of work over the summer and we start getting into a system, It's got to be something that they got to want and be able to work for to get better, to be able to compete with those guys.
Yeah. So I like to ask every coach this because it's something that's interesting to me. Have you been scheduling, your upcoming season, your schedule?
Well, the varsity schedule was already done before I took place, so that was already in place, and I've been just working on my freshman JV schedule and summer schedule for the most part.
Yeah. Can you let us know, any games that's going to be coming this upcoming season? Like some nice games that you're hyped and pumped up for?
Um, yep. We play Bowling Green at Glasgow. I think it's December the 13th or 14th. I can't remember the exact date right off the top of my head right now. But we'll play them at home this year. Closer to the end of the season, we'll play Warren Central down at Warren Central. So we'll play both of those teams during the season. Which everybody can kind of look on the KHSAA site and find those dates. But we'll play both of those teams in the season, and I always tell my team, in order to be the best, you got to play the best. So we're going to play them during the season, and hopefully try to get some type of luck.
So I want to mention the name J.C. Walbert. He recently, did he commit to a school for college basketball?
Yep, yep. Signed his national letter of intent to play for Transylvania.
Transylvania. Tell us a little
hmm
bit about J.C.
JC's a great kid. He's a coach's dream, really. I've been fortunate enough to really coach JC since sixth grade, um, when I was a middle school head coach, and he and I worked together outside of just school sport. So he and I have built a relationship since he was probably fourth grade. And, his dream was to go play college basketball. So that's what he and I worked on a lot over the years. And like I said, he became a gym rat. And he's one of those kids the coach would want to say, I don't want to have to tell you to go get better. If you want to go to the play college, you got to show me. And he's one of those kids, man, that he's in the gym constantly, day in and day out.
Coach, with the team that you have, you were losing. I looked on KHSAA earlier, and I think it was three seniors you will be losing on this year's roster. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct?
Yes,
Uh,
sir. Yep.
with the roster that you have now and any adjustments that may be made, where do you see this team, a few months down, come December, January? Where do you see this team around that time?
It's hard to say right now. You never know what happens. Heaven forbid any injuries or anything like that. But I think if we can stay healthy, and get everybody coming back, we've had some young guys gain a lot of valuable experience last season, and I think that's going to help us. Come January, we'll be, once we get in top shape, and it might be some bumps in the road since I'm a first year coach and these guys adjusting to different plays and things like that. There's some ups and downs, but I think, we'll be able to, compete in the fourth region. Um, Hopefully, we can get a winning season and win another district coming off a district championship. So, there are some goals up there, but like I said, man, a lot of things play into that, as far as health of my players and who you've got coming back, because a lot of things can change between now and October 15th.
Um, Brandon, somebody just asked me. They asked in the chat. They wanted to know how was practice like with guys like Joe, Rondo, etc. How was the practices, the team meetings? Just being around those guys outside of games.
Uh, I mean, it's all laid back. All those guys are laid back. Um, they're all cool to hang out with, and we all liked each other. So, we still try to stay in touch somewhat. UK does a very good job of bringing past players back. So we still try to stay in touch somewhat through that. And man, those guys, man, they were fun to be around, especially Joe and Ramel. Everybody knows Smooth, so he's a cut up to be around.
Yeah. Let me ask you this about Coach Tubby. What was some of your favorite memories around him, and what's something that you learned from him that you might still use to this day?
Um, Basically, just how hard you have to work. He would always mention to us, he was one of like 16 or 17 siblings or something.
Yeah.
And he would have to compete every day for something in his household. So man, you just gotta, in order to get where you really want there, especially today, you've got to work for it. Nothing's given, everything is earned, and it just depends on how bad you want it. So I take that in saying this, it was basically my senior year. I had an injury my junior year. I broke my wrist my junior year. And then my senior year, man, I knew I was going out. I didn't know where I was going to go after college. So for me, it was just putting into work, putting into work, putting into work. It earned me a starting position late in the season. I think the final 6 or 7 games of the season. Um, everybody knows I had Rajon Rondo on my team. Who thinks I'd start over Rajon Rondo? And man, it's just all about putting in the work because you never know what might happen.
Brandon, I'll ask this final question for the people in here. What's some advice you have to younger kids who is going, in high school right now with the dream of playing in college basketball? And you're a head coach now, so what's something that you tell younger head coaches and people who's coming onto the job?
Um, First advice for players would be, and you just got to put in the work. There's no way around it. I can remember being a freshman myself in high school, and nobody knew my name.
Yeah,
And I just had to put in the work every day, every day, every day, and it kind of paid off in the end. And there's no way to get past it, so you got to put it in. Advice to some newer coaches, younger coaches. I mean, I wouldn't really know a whole lot of advice because this would be my first high school head coaching job. But you got to put the time in. It's a commitment. I've been committed to Glasgow athletics for a very long time. Um, and so you got to put the time in with your players. You got to get to know your players. Each player is different. You got to coach each player different. And you just got to be willing to make some sacrifices, and everything else will work its way out.
agree. Coach Brandon, we all wish you the best of luck this season, and I can't wait to see what Glasgow has. I'm going to definitely hope to attend a few games. I'd like to invite you to come back anytime you ever want to be back here. Hopefully, we can talk during the season.
Thank you.
One of my PE teacher and our coach Trey Tinsley wanted me to tell you a big what's up and blessings to
Uh,
everything you got going on there, and hope everything
Same
goes.
to Trey.
I want to thank you for coming on here once again, Coach Stockton, and like I said, we wish you the best of luck this season and the rest of this year.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
All right.
That was Coach Brandon Stockton now for the Glasgow Scotties and one of the best high school basketball players to ever come out of Kentucky. This was an episode that we didn't really, broadcast until a little later. I didn't advertise it as much until a little later because we were working out things with Brandon. And but I'm really glad we got to get Brandon on here. He was a guest that I've wanted to have on here for a while just because of some of the things he can talk about. We couldn't have him for, like an hour because we were kind of running short on time. On my side, Mother's Day's coming up, so I'm a little busy there. And then Brandon busy with the basketball tournament now, and he's got a lot to do. Now as the head coach. I can't wait to see Glasgow and what they hold this year. I think they're going to be a fun team. They got a younger guy named Jarek Martin, who I've got to watch play multiple times. The kid is a beast. So be on the watch for Glasgow this season, and make sure you guys are tuning into our show, following, subscribing, and liking. That's the best way to support us. I want to let everyone know, which everyone kind of knows, we're going through a little bit of a process with some name changes, trying to focus more on the Joe Show. And that's not to go away from the Wildcat Alley because we are still, based in Edmonson County. But it gives us a little bit more room to work with, other guests, other people want to come on the show. And once again, I want to say the Joe Show, Joseph Decker, that's not just to promote my name. That's just to kind of go at who's the host of it. I don't do this, to be the most famous guy in the world. So I want to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching today's show. I always like to end it off with thanking our show sponsor, Kayaks and More. Thank you guys for all you guys do for us. Make sure to follow all of our sponsors on social media. I want to tell everyone Happy Mother's Day to all of our viewers out there. And God bless everyone. Be sure to come in next week. I'm working on some episodes for the future. We did 2 this week. We're going to do 3 with new Western transfer Braxton Bayless. We're still looking next week to get that show on the boat, which will be great. I want to thank everybody for tuning into our 2 great episodes this past week. Hopefully it could give a lot of advice to, younger coaches out there with Hank and Brandon, and some advice to, the high school guys, because both those guys were involved in basketball and played basketball, so it can help you. God bless everybody, and I hope to see you